What's up guys, welcome to a new YouTube video. In this video, I'm going to be going over 3 things I learned during my recent dopamine detox over the weekend and why and how something like this can benefit you as an entrepreneur. And you may or may not have seen different dopamine detox initiatives and videos on the internet. There's like 7-day this, 21-day that, 24-hour this. There are so many different versions of it, and there's really no right or wrong. There's probably some versions of it that could serve you at a higher level right now versus other versions. I'm gonna be going over kind of just the general philosophy. I'm gonna be going over what I did and 3 things that I found that benefited me and I believe can benefit you as well in some way, shape, or form. So without further ado, let's get into it. So just as a little context, and I made a post about this on Instagram, but the main reason why I did my quote unquote dopamine detox was because I was dealing with massive emotional triggers over the last few months. And going into this little dopamine detox, I did it for 48 hours. I didn't really label it as a dopamine detox. My intention of it wasn't necessarily to detox myself of dopamine. That was just going to be a byproduct of it. That was going to be kind of one pillar of it. But like 0% of my intention was really focused on that. The main reason was because I was processing metric tons of emotion from internal triggers that I've kept under the surface that finally came to the surface. And for over 2 months, I was just in an internal hell, experiencing these nasty emotions that have suppressed my entire life. And at a certain point, I reached a breaking point where I'm like, I need to stop half-assing this healing journey. I need to fully give myself to this process. I need to stop just doing a meditation here and journaling there and kind of hoping it resolves itself. I need to go all in. I need to face this stuff fully in its entirety, or else I could go like another year or 2 or 3 without fully kind of dealing with these triggers. And so that was my intention heading into, the quote unquote dopamine detox. But again, when you cut out everything for 48 hours, it tends to have the effects that a dopamine detox does as well. So again, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to share 3 things that I learned / 3 benefits that I got from it and that you can take from something like this as well. So number 1, and this actually does have to do with the emotional side of things. I was going through a massive emotional trigger, and you probably aren't right now, but everybody, specifically entrepreneurs, have a lot of internal stuff going on. Entrepreneurship tends to highlight a lot of your inner baggage that you have going on. So whether you have certain childhood traumas or certain beliefs that you were conditioned in you throughout your childhood or throughout your life, you could have certain emotional patterns, certain identity things about yourself, limiting beliefs, etc. And so you have your own equation, your own internal equation through growing up and through your life, where you ended up now in your adult life, and you have some sort of internal things going on. Again, whether it's an emotional pattern, like a trauma that's stored beneath the surface, suppressed emotion. It's almost impossible to be a human being and not have something down there. And for some of you, it may be a more potent situation than others. For some of you, maybe it's like a very potent feeling, whether it's like a depressive feeling, or you're anxious, or you're consistently overwhelmed, or you're consistently doubting yourself at a high level, or you're consistently sabotaging yourself. All of these things, they're not who you are. They're not like your personality. It's just it's certain internal things that were conditioned in you, or again, traumas or experiences in life that led you to behave this way or to think this way. Again, they aren't you. It's just your conditioning. And so heading into something like a dopamine detox, or essentially what this is a period where you cut out everything that can really distract you from facing your emotion. And so for me personally, I might miss a thing or 2 here, but I cut out social media. Social media was the biggest thing for me. 0 social media. I didn't even unlock my phone. I accidentally unlocked my phone once, very unconsciously, but that was it. So I didn't even unlock my phone. No junk food, no alcohol, no weed, no drugs, no working out even, because working out would give me some good emotions and it would distract me from from my other emotions that I wanted to address. And there were a few other initiatives in there. No entertainment, right? No TV, no Netflix, no sports, no golf, no communication, no texting anybody, no, Snapchat, no Instagram, like zero, not even any socializing, like talking to anybody in person. I tried to minimize that as well. And so the intent was just to remove anything and everything so I could just go deep on the inside and really just face what's there. And again, you're going to have your own internal equation, but what erasing all distractions does, it allows you to finally face what's there. Because if you remove everything for an hour, 2 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours, you're going to start to feel different things. You're going to start to experience different things. Some of that stuff is going to come to the surface, especially when you're intentionally breathing through it and journaling and constantly articulating, oh, I feel this, and this could be from that. And oh, like I noticed this, like I wonder if this caused this. And I noticed this sensation in my stomach. It's kind of like a dull pain, or maybe it's a sharp pain, or maybe some pain in your heart, or, you're gonna have all these different insights. As you continue to breathe through it and journal through it, you're gonna gain different insights, different awareness. And the awareness is one of the big pieces here, because as you start to become aware of these things, they start to lose power over you. And once you generate a little bit of that awareness, it's almost like an irreversible process, where you just continue to gain more awareness, and you continue to breathe through it and journal through it, and oftentimes you can become aware of a massive entity that's within you, and it loses a lot of its power once you generate that awareness. Once you realize, oh, like I've been feeling all this and I've been taking all this action just because of that. And then there can be a shift that happens. Again, it's hard to really say exactly, because everyone's situation is so unique, especially when we're talking about our suppressed kind of internal environments. But the point is that when you eliminate all distractions, you can face your inner stuff. And this is a massive step to generating that awareness, which is a massive step in your inner healing journey. So I'll leave it there. Again, it's hard to, your situation will be completely different from the next person. So just taking away all distractions, going deep on the inside to help you become aware of whatever's there. And that will be a massive asset to you. And tip number 2, or the benefit number 2, is social media. And so this is a big one for entrepreneurs, because if you're an entrepreneur, you're likely spending a lot of time on your phone or on your laptop. And this can be obviously an asset for you, or it can be a liability. And for some of you, you might be dialed in and you might be, only using your devices when you need to, maybe a little bit of, casual usage here and there. But some of you, I know this for a fact, are spending 4, 5, 6 days on your screen, spending 3, 4, 5 hours on social media. And this is obviously a waste of your time. And I don't need to tell you this because you already know it. But one thing the dopamine detox does is it forces you to completely just kind of because it's painful to not go on social media almost after you've been using it for hours a day for years, and then 0 for 24, 48, 72 hours. It's your body craves it at such a chemical level, and it's very hard to resist. And so in regards of just your sustainable kind of time management, this is kind of like a good shock to the system, where you show your body that it's possible to survive without social media 24/7. And this is one thing that has really helped me, because before this, my screen time was pretty high, maybe hour, 2 hours of social media per day, which is much more than it needs to be. And now I'm finding it easier to have sub 1 hour social media days. And this is just because I just learned through experience by brute force that I really just don't need it, and that it's really not crucial. So again, depending on how much time you spend on social media, this will have different effects for you, but or whatever your vice is. Maybe you need maybe your vice is food, or maybe your vice is alcohol, or your vice is connection with friends. Maybe you need to always be with somebody or talking to somebody. Essentially what this challenge does is it removes you all of your emotional addictions from your immediate kind of access, and just through that separation for an extended period of time, it kind of teaches you how to live without it. And it also gives you insight into what it gives you. Through preventing myself from going on social media, I noticed it gave me senses of validation, senses of even love, senses of connection. And so And so it seems silly that social media can generate emotions like this, but on a subconscious level, like it can give you hits of very potent emotions, which is why we're often addicted to it, right? And this was certainly the case for me in my past. So again, whatever that is for you, removing it from your immediate access for an extended period of time can help you make a sustainable shift to actually ending that addiction altogether. And the last benefit I'm going to touch on in this video is kind of more of a mild one, and this one can be attained not even in 48 hours, not even in 24 hours, not even 12 hours. This can be attained in 1 hour or even 10 minutes. And that's that as entrepreneurs, we're constantly being stimulated, right? There's either a phone, or we're working, laptop, or we're eating, or we're having a meeting, or we're working out, or we're doing something. There's always something going on, always something that we're consuming, or always something that we're like an output that we're doing, right? And so taking space for yourself, eliminating all work, all outputs, and I don't even think I mentioned that in my original definition of this process, but zero work. And so like zero anything, right? That could distract me. Literally the only things that I did were meditate and journal, and I went for a couple walks. I ate food, healthy food, just did nothing, just contemplated, did a lot of introspection, just breathed, journal, like zero anything, right? And so even 10 minutes of this, just going for a walk without your phone, without music, without anything, can be very nice. It gives your brain a chance to breathe. And I found that sometimes when I left my phone at home, I left my ear pods at home, and I started to go for a walk, I would start to have ideas and clarity on different things within seconds or minutes of that walk, let alone an hour or a day or 2 days, when you really give your mind a chance to go nuts. And oftentimes problems that you've been having for months or years or weeks or whatever it may be are often solved instantly. You're like, yep, this needs to happen, and that, and then I could do this about that. And then oftentimes you can solve problems so quickly when you're constantly stimulated, constantly doing things, you kind of get lost in the sauce, and it can seem a lot more complicated than it actually is. And so I didn't really have this benefit as much through my dopamine detox, just because, again, my intention for my particular dopamine detox was to express and to become aware of and handle my inner emotional stuff. If my intention was around business and brainstorming and clarity, I would have reaped the rewards of this particular benefit to a much higher level. I still got it a little bit. My mind still went there a little bit, but I do know that if that was your intention for something like this, it would be very beneficial for you. And I do know that in the past, when I've gone for a 10-minute walk, 20-minute walk, 30-minute walk without any stimuli, including music or whatever else, instantly ideas are flowing, clarity is generated. So I know that if you were to, approach a dopamine detox of 12 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours with that intention in the mix, it would certainly, help you in that way as well. So again, those are just 3 of many benefits that I got and that you can get from doing some form of dopamine detox. Another bonus one that I'm going to mention here too, just because of how profound it was, is the level of self-respect you build and self-love you build by actually going through with this. Because yes, there's a lot of benefits that you get from that you get, like clarity, emotional expression. You can like honestly shift a lot of addictions below addiction level just from a detox, and like a lot of shifts can happen, right? And a lot of benefits can happen. But one benefit that I feel like is extremely underrated is the self-love and self-respect and confidence you get from actually doing this, because of how hard it is. It's hard not to work for 24, 48 hours straight, 72 hours straight, whatever it may be, a week straight. It's hard not to go on social media even once, right? It's hard not to have any junk food or alcohol or weed if those are things you consistently use, right? It's hard not to have any entertainment or music. It's hard not to have anything that distracts you emotionally that you're used to being distracted by. And so you'll find that by forcing yourself to do this and actually following through, you're going to come out on the other side of this having a lot more self-respect and, again, a lot more confidence in yourself. You're like, wow, I just did that. I'm a badass. Like, if I can do this, what else can I do? You're going to find that your discipline level is a lot higher, and a lot of challenges are going to seem like, okay, that's actually not so bad. Like, look at what I've been through, right? And so that effect can be generated from something like this, where depending on how aggressive you go with it, the harder it is for you, the more self-respect you're going to build as a result of going through it. And that's the same with anything in life. We see a lot of people who begin their fitness journey gain a lot of self-respect and self-esteem because they're finally following through on working out frequently, and they're finally following through on a certain nutrition protocol. And these things, again, generate their own benefits. They get you healthier, they get you fitter, more energy. But just by doing them, you also get more self-confidence and self-respect. Like, doing hard things generates more confidence, more self-respect. So this is why doing hard things is quite important. Doing a dopamine detox is one of the hardest things we can do in our modern day and age, because we are constantly in a cycle of dopamine. So removing that is a very hard thing to do, but it's a very high level thing to do, because you do not want to be trapped in a dopamine cycle. You don't want to be a slave to your dopamine system, because it can keep you trapped. It can really keep you trapped. So that's one kind of bonus benefit I'll mention there. And that's gonna be it for the video. This 48-hour period was certainly pretty profound for me. Again, I've suppressed emotions my entire life, so when they all came up at once, it was very difficult to handle. And for 2 months, it was just it was a lot. And I was constantly in this pain, and I didn't know what it was from, or like why it was happening. All I knew was that it was there, and it's causing me to focus completely on it. It dominated my emotions. It even dominated some of my behavior. And so I entered this dopamine detox with the intention saying, like, look, I need to figure out what's going on here. I need to face this emotion. I need to breathe through it. I need to heal it. And that 48-hour period with nothing but me, myself, and my emotions seemed to do the trick, at least to a large portion of it. There's still a lot of emotion left that I need to process, but one thing that 48-hour period afforded me was a lot of increased awareness, like I mentioned at the start, and also increased skill in dealing with the emotions. Because when I went into that detox period, a lot of emotion came up, and honestly, over the last 2 months, by necessity, I've had to develop the skill to breathe through it, to process it, to journal it at a level that I've never done before, or even close to it. And so now, going forward, facing different emotional triggers and different emotional situations, I'll have more awareness and more skill than I ever have in order to continue to face those things going forward. So again, that's just a little bit more specific context towards my 48-hour dopamine detox. You can start with a 48-hour thing, you can start with a 24-hour thing, you can start with a 10-hour thing, you can start with a 3-hour thing. You can even start with just committing to no social media for the rest of the night. That's kind of like a half measure to take. As you can see, you can be very malleable with the parameters that you set and the initiatives that you take. But just remember, the harder it is, the more benefit you're going to get. So you can do with that what you will. Personally, I think I'm going to do a version of this once a week on Sundays, which is my day off mostly from work anyways. And I'm going to do some version of it just because of how useful it is and how nice it was for me. So that will be the video, guys. I hope this sparked a couple of you to try something like this. I hope it was useful for you. If you have any more questions about this idea, feel free to comment down below or message me on Instagram. Or if you do try this, definitely comment down below what your specific initiative was, how long you did it for, and what the parameters of it were. I'd love to hear that, and also how it helped you in your journey. But without further ado, thank you for listening. Again, I hope this was useful for you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.